Can you actually obey, even if you disagree, even if he's in the wrong, even if you believe he's completely incorrect? Can you take that role?
I don't think that means that you have to be a carpet.
Right. You still have a voice as a submissive partner. It doesn't mean that you're going to be the weak one and accept all his wrongdoings. You
What
can
do you mean
agree to
wrongdoings?
disagree. You can agree to disagree.
Hang
right?
on. Most examples inside of a relationship where there is a submissive partner and one who heads a household are not moral quandaries. They're general quandaries. So I'm not saying that you have to cede to immoral behavior, like he says, I want to open the relationship or something like this. But obedience is, if we're going to spend all of the money on this, we're spending all of the money on this. Obeying means if the kids need to go to X school, I want them to go to that school, even if you don't agree, even if it's 30 minutes out of your way and you think it's stupid. That's what obeying means. It's not always, so you kind of conflate this with a moral quandary. Most of these issues are not moral quandaries, right?
You could still compromise. There's still room for compromise.
Then that's not obey. That's not obedience. Compromise is not obedience. Compromise is the opposite of obedience.
So you're telling me that being the submissive half of the relationship is somebody that is just going to bow down 100% of the time?
Yeah. Unless there's a moral quandary, can you tell me why there's a problem with that?
Well, for example, you use that taking the child to a 30-minute away from home school, right? And then the mom has to be the one to travel and to commute, to do all that. But what if there's a school that's like 5 minutes away that's just as good? Isn't there room
What does obedience mean? Does obedience mean that even though you've had the discussion, he has the final word on it, he says, do it anyway. Even if you don't like it, I'm making this decision, even though you disagree, you don't particularly enjoy this, you think even I'm being stupid, or you think that I'm being out of pocket here. What does obedience mean? What does that mean?
I would say as long as it's moral.
You can't put conditionals. You can't put, well, you can put the conditional only if moral.
Yeah.
But as long as it's moral,
it's
what other conditionals can you put on it?
And that's why you have to be very careful on who you choose as a partner, correct?
I think part of having a partner, though, is like your husband should also submit to you. And I'm not saying that
that's not traditional. We're talking specifically about traditional values.
Also, if we're talking,
here.
okay, there could be traditional non-Christian, but there's also traditional Christian. And if you know the Bible, right? Jesus submitted to the church. Does it not say, wives, submit to your husband as the church has submitted to God, and husbands, submit to your wives as Christ has submitted to the church?
Okay, so you're quoting Matthew.
Yes.
So in Matthew, quoting Paul, not Matthew, my bad.
It's, I think,
okay. So when you're talking about Paul, okay, when this is said, I believe it's in Corinthians, wives, submit unto your husband as you would unto the Lord. Mm-hmm. Unto the Lord, right?
Just as the church submits to Christ.
Yeah, well, okay, but marriage is the figurehead which represents this. So men are going to be the head, which is a representation of Christ, who's the head of the church. Women are going to be the body, which is the church itself. Who does the church submit to?
They submit to Christ, but...
Okay, so then if that is the case, then what is the logical entailment there?
But if you're just taking
what is the logical entailment there?
No, because it even says that husbands should serve their wives. That's part of being a
okay, so let's try this again. If you are to submit unto your husband as you are unto the Lord, are you allowed to disobey the Lord?
No.
Okay, so then are you allowed to disobey your husband?
Yeah, but in the Bible it also says...
Hang on, let her respond.
But what I'm saying is,
you should answer my question.
I'm saying
answer
willingly,
my question
yes,
first.
willingly.
Answer my question first.
I am willingly submit to your husbands, but I'm saying don't be with a husband that also isn't willing to submit to you. Don't be with a man.
There's no mutual submission.
That is what it is to serve each other.
No, stop. You're taking Paul way out of context here. When you're talking about mutual submission, especially, the reason that it specifically references why wives should submit, even if their husbands fall astray. Even if they fall astray, is because if a woman still stays true, he can find his way back. So when you're talking about mutual submission, let's start with this idea.
So if a man is providing,
What does submitting to your husband as unto the Lord mean? What does that mean?
that you obey him. But what I'm saying is
Like you would unto who?
to the Lord.
And are you ever allowed to disobey the Lord?
No.
Okay, so then I don't know what is your argument then?
That, oh, you made me lose my train of thought. Hold on.
Well, from what I understand from Christianity, the husband is supposed to put the wife on a pedestal, and the wife submits to the husband. So there's a balancing act.
Well, what I was trying to get at is if a man is providing for you, if a man is taking care of you, that's part of like submitting to you, because a man doesn't have to do that. A man doesn't have to provide for his like wife and kids. There's a lot of men that don't do that they want to go 50-50. I think part of a man submitting is saying, I'm submitting to you in the fact that I want to work hard for this family. I want to work hard so that you're able to be here with my children, and so that you can submit to me in the same way.
Let's untangle some concepts here. So the first concept we'll untangle is I don't dispute that there's a lot of men who will always do X. Totally irrelevant. The conversation we're having right now with you is what Christian couples are to do or ought to. Not what other men do or what a lot of men do or what some men do or what many men do. Only what Christian traditionalists do within this worldview. So untangle that from your argument and tell me, how should Christian women respond in obedience to their husbands?
By serving them and submitting to them.
That's right, by serving them and submitting to them.
Okay, so let me ask you, how is a man supposed to serve his wife? How is a man
a man is to serve his entire family in the same way that Christ is supposed to be the sacrifice as the head. Then you is the exchanger in this. Because he is the ultimate sacrifice for the family, he takes the bullet. He's the person who has to take all of the heat. He's the person who has to take all the responsibility for the decisions. You shut your fucking mouth and you let him do that. That's what obedience means.
But in that way, isn't that submitting to his family and submitting to his wife?
In the context, if you want to call that submission, you can. And I'm willing to even cede and allow you to, because I think in the church context, sure, you could call that submission. But is it submission when we're talking about obedience? Is a man to be obedient to his wife, in other words? Or is a wife to be obedient to her husband?
Both.
Both. It's 50-50.
I think it's just a mutual respect.
What does that mean? A mutual respect. He says no. What's your answer when he says no?
Oh, yeah, you don't really. Yeah. No, you're right.
Okay, well then what are you talking about?
Well, it
I don't know what you're
depends on,
talking
like,
about then.
obviously certain things, because you're just saying a man shouldn't submit at all to his wife. There are instances where a man is submitting, though, and serving
Okay,
his
what are
wife.
those instances?
By willing to be, like you said, traditional and working and providing, that's submitting. Like, if you don't want to see it as that way, but it is. Like, by a man saying, like, I'm willing to put my time to the side, I'm willing to let you stay at home, like, I want to work and...
Just Gerald donated $200. The more I hear them speak,
Thank you,
the
Gerald.
more I love my peaceful, broke, young, submissive, loyal, Christian girlfriend, who accepts all my decisions, who said, I trust you to lead me and our future family.
Gerald, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thank you for the TTS.
I think
Okay, I'm just going to cede the argument. I'll even consider this a form of submission. Who has the final say?
in traditional relationships, the man.
No, let her
Okay.
answer.
Oh, sorry.
Who has the final say?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the man.
Oh, okay. Well, then so even if I call it submission, even if I just see the argument and say that that is a man's form of submission, which I don't even disagree with, when you're talking about how husbands and wives are to submit to each other, I'll even concede the argument that is exactly how a man is to submit to his family. Who has the final say is the man. And that is the point of what female submission is to be. And if that is the case of what female submission is to be, then you have been arguing with me just nonsense, circular nonsense for the last 10 minutes.
I don't mind submitting to my man. I'm just saying we're taking this out of context here. You're trying to go down this rabbit hole. But the whole reason I'm looking for a traditional man is because I've never had that. Because I've had to be the man in the relationship.
You
and
had a
not,
penis?
and not to offend anyone that doesn't identify as a gender, or if that's offensive. But what I'm saying is, yeah, I had to be the alpha
You
female.
pegged a guy?
Well, let us
No.
let us
It's kind of a
untangle
deal
couple
breaker,
of
actually.
concepts here. So to untangle these different concepts, the first concept we'll untangle is, in your relationships, I'm guessing that they're secular. They're not based in a religious relationship.
I'm more spiritual. I consider myself spiritual. I did grow up Catholic.
Yeah,
Secular.
okay, so they're not Christian relationships, what I'm getting at.
I do, yes.
Okay, gotcha. So to untangle this, me and her were discussing specifically
Right.
in the context of Christianity.
Right. And
So I'm fine with moving back to the idea of like secular relationships. I just wanted to untangle those two concepts really quickly. So now that we're moving back into the area of secular relationships, then it's just an exchange, right? What else could it be? He gets and you get. I don't really see how else or what other incentive there would be absent divine command for you to have a relationship other than just like what you get out of it, right? So that's why I'm asking if it is just a matter of what you get versus what he gets, what does he get? That's all I'm asking here.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Well, I think it's necessary to clear it up.
Yeah. And I agree. I don't disagree. I'd be happy to submit to a man.
All
If
right.
I found one
Oh, go
I
ahead.
could be with.
Okay.
Yeah.